what a storm!
Witness firsthand the devastation and destruction they leave behind. Plus, step inside the leading edge of technology and learn how to keep your family safe. Tornado Alert, what you need to know.
Join News 8's Troy Duncan, April 12th at 9 on Channel 8.
Had fun.
Me too. I hope Dad doesn't ruin it.
I think your dad forgot.
No, he's probably just running late. I hope he hasn't started drinking again.
We could call him.
No. Let's just give him a few more minutes. He promised he'd be different when he got back.
Is that him?
Please be him. Yeah, that's him.
If you have a drug or alcohol problem, don't let it hurt the ones you love most. Call 1-800-CHARTER.
Well, I hope you won't worry. No, I need to be here.
It's for the Pro-Am Challenge Championship Horse Show at Will Rogers Coliseum, April 5th through the 10th. The prestigious Arabian Horse Show benefits eQuest in the spirit of Texas. Working in the spirit of Texas. From WFAA TV, this is News 8 at 5.
They just found that 2 employees had been shot. I can't give any more information than that right now.
Dallas police used security camera video in the search for whoever murdered 2 young men at an East Dallas video store.
And that story tops News 8 at 5. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. A brand new Blockbuster video store was the scene of a late Easter Sunday double murder. It happened at the Casa Linda Shopping Center at Buckner and Garland Road. Channel 8's Alan Berg joins us now live from Dallas Police Headquarters in downtown Dallas with an update on the suspects. And this sounds like pretty good information, Alan.
Chip, yes, police now confirm that they captured the suspect in the shooting on videotape. Initially, they asked reporters not to mention the fact that they had an in-store recording of the incident. They hoped that they would be able to track down the suspect quickly without him knowing that they had his image on tape. However, just after 4 this afternoon, they amended that strategy and decided to release the videotape in hopes that somebody would recognize the gunman. Police describe the suspect as an African-American male in his late teens or early 20s, 5'4" to 5'6". They say he weighs between 140 and 160 pounds. He has some facial hair. Police say he was wearing a 2-tone coat, light on the top, as well as at the end of the sleeves. Meanwhile, in the East Dallas area where the murders occurred, police are still trying to develop new leads.
The Casa Linda Shopping Center Blockbuster just opened last week. Police believe new employees James Armstrong and Brad Lindsay were closing the store when they were confronted by a robber already inside.
Now, it appears that they were shot by someone who was in the store right at the closing. When one of the employees didn't come home, his mother went to the store, found it locked, summoned the police, who, after a couple hours, managed to contact someone on the Blockbuster to get in.
Police believe both were shot once with a handgun. Investigators are withholding details until they can further narrow their search for a suspect. At the shopping center, a sign announced the store would open late due to reasons beyond our control. A friend of Lindsay's learned of the news when she drove up.
He was working for his, I guess it was GED, and he was taking on a full-time job here, helping his mom.
Other business owners in the area wonder why the shopping center owners don't provide more security.
Being in the, bakery and catering business, we come in at, all hours of the day and night, and I'm concerned for myself and, of course, our employees also.
Beginning with the earliest news today, and we've had a number of calls, received a lot of small pieces of information that we're confident that, in addition to our physical evidence, will lead to a successful conclusion in this case.
Police say there have been other video store robberies in the area. They don't know if they're connected. As investigators search for answers, workers at the store repaired the locks above the bouquet of flowers, which underscored the sense of loss.
James Armstrong was 26-year-old. Brad Lindsay was 20 years old. Blockbuster Video is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and the conviction of the suspect. Casa Linda Shopping Center says it does indeed plan to beef up security at the shopping center. They told Channel 8 that was in the works prior to this murder, double murder yesterday. Reporting live, Alan Berg, Channel 8 News.
Okay. Thank you, Alan.
Well, there may be fewer guns on Dallas and Fort Worth streets tonight. That's due in part to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference's gun buyback program that started today. The event coincides with the 26th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Under the shadow of the King statue in South Dallas, several people traded in their revolvers, semi-automatics, and shotguns for anywhere from $25 to $60 apiece. One of them was Julia Cooper. Her son Sean was shot to death 2 years ago.
I just went to a pawn shop, spent $50 on this thing that I'm holding, that I think is quite disgusting, but I'm going to get rid of it.
SCLC officials say guns collected today will be melted down and made into peace symbols. 9 other cities are also participating in the event.
The Attorney General of Mexico says the assassination of the ruling party's presidential candidate, Luis Donaldo Colosio, appears to have been the result of a conspiracy. Colosio was gunned down while campaigning in Tijuana last month. Today, the special prosecutor heading the investigation said at least 7 people were involved in the assassination. The gunman, Mario Alberto Martinez, was arrested at the scene of the shooting. 4 others, including an organizer of Colosio's local security detail, have also been charged in connection with the killing. The special prosecutor says one of the suspects threw himself on the floor in front of Colosio so the gunman could get a closer shot. The motive for the assassination remains unknown.
In Texas politics, voters have a choice between Slick Richard and Dinosaur Jim. Those are just 2 of the names swapped today by the candidates in the Democratic runoff for U.S. Senate. Channel 8's Doug Fox reports.
It was a joking tug-of-war handshake before the debate, but their pre-show combativeness in the Senate race quickly spilled over on the air. Jim Maddox and Richard Fisher have verbally jabbed and stabbed each other for weeks now, and their runoff election is only 8 days away. In taping an appearance on Primetime Texas, it appeared as if they might set the personal attacks aside and talk substance.
You know, when you sling mud, there's an old farmer saying that you're throwing away good soil. And I expect the next week we're going to focus on the issues. I pray and hope we will.
Right now, Richard, I would tell you, what we all do is pull down your negative commercials, and I'll pull down mine. Let's go on about our way and talk about issues.
But the civility didn't last long. They still traded verbal punches even when discussing legislation that's already passed, such as the North American Free Trade Agreement.
There is a clear difference between us on that. Jim was against it, I was for it. This is the greatest economic development tool imaginable for Texas, for South Texas, and also potentially for Mexico. And Jim, you were dead set against NAFTA.
Mr. Manning. Richard, you're slick. And I'm going to tell you something. You can identify problems real good. You don't offer any solutions, but you identify the problems.
You vote for NAFTA or against it?
Richard, let me tell you something. Back at the time when you were trying to get the support of the United We Stand people, at that time, the Ross Perot group, you were against NAFTA. Then as you got started on in the campaign, then you decided you'd be for NAFTA. You've always said, as I've said, that we're for free trade.
And after the debate, the name-calling didn't stop.
Richard's a Republican, and he's come into the Democratic primary and tried to say the Democratic Party ought to be more like the Republican Party.
I'm standing next to a dinosaur. This is a politics of being outdated. And he'll whip his tail around every now and then and knock me over, but the voters will decide.
In fact, early voting already is underway, but only 5 to 6% of the state's 9 million registered voters are expected to show up. Doug Fox, Channel 8 News.
And you can see the debate tomorrow night. It airs in its entirety in a special edition of Primetime Texas tomorrow night at 9, right here on Channel 8.
Meanwhile, the first African-American to hold the post of Texas Secretary of State today took office. Governor Ann Richards gave the oath of office to 39-year-old Ron Kirk of Dallas. Kirk is a lawyer, lobbyist, and Democratic Party activist, widely praised for his energy and his honesty. He became the 98th Texas Secretary of State and is the Chief Elections Administrator. Kirk's selection by Governor Richards continues an unprecedented record of minority appointments under her New Texas policy.
It is humbling for me to stand before you as the state's Chief Election Officer, considering the price that Dr. King and others were willing to pay in order for me to have the privilege of standing before you today.
Kirk says his top goal is to improve voter turnout, which has dramatically declined in recent elections.
It was another dismal day on Wall Street. At the sound of today's closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down more than 42 points in heavy trading. Fears of higher interest rates sent stocks plunging 60 points in just the first 15 minutes of trading this morning. The market closed at 3593.35, its lowest level this year.
And today's market plunge followed a full week of heavy selling.
Business analyst David Johnson joins us live from his Dallas office to help us understand what's happening on Wall Street. David, we keep on hearing that inflation and interest rates are fueling the fears at Wall Street. How realistic, though, is that, considering there are no real signs of inflation?
Well, I don't think you're very realistic at all. I mean, there really aren't any signs of inflation. Actually, Greenspan said that back in February. I mean, this is supposed to be a preemptive move that maybe oil would go up or maybe food prices. But, gee, there's a thing called the Commodity Research Bureau Index. It's an inflation index, and it was down sharply today. Of course, most everything was down sharply. So I don't think it's very well founded. It may well be that the Fed really was trying to get some of the speculative fever out of the stock market. You remember it had a pretty good year last year, and in January it was up 225 points in 30 days. And so they may well have been trying to cool that down. The interest rate fears are very well founded, and we're seeing them. And they are fact. The Fed may not have raised interest rates since March 22nd, but by golly, they were up today. 30-year bonds hit the highest level since January of 1993, 7.42%. Before you sit there and say, well, I don't care about that, consider that that's one of the formulas they use for setting home mortgage rates and a lot of other long-term interest rates. So those fears are there, and it may well slow down this economy. The question is, will it slow it down so much that it doesn't grow at all? That's the question we have yet to answer.
Yeah, David, let me ask you this. If you've got a crystal ball there in the lower right-hand drawer of your desk, what's going to happen tomorrow?
I think, you know, based on what we saw here at the end, Chip, the sellers were still around. I mean, the bears were still in command. The bond market was selling off toward the close. Sure, the industrials average was only down 40-something at the close, but and it was down 80 at one point early this morning. But best guess is the sellers are still around. There's still a lot of big investors that have lost a lot of money, and they have to sell. They're leveraged. They've taken $1 and then borrowed $2 or $3 and really gone heavily into the stock and bond markets, and now the creditors are making them sell and liquidate, and they don't care about fundamentals. They're just going to sell. So it looks a little higher in the morning. Maybe tomorrow will be our capitulation day. We'll get it all over with. We'll knock on something wood.
Okay.
Probably veneer, but it'll work.
All right,
we'll
thank
stay
you.
tuned. Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Well, in business news, a new nonstop air route offers North Texans a direct link to downtown Chicago now without going through O'Hare Airport. Midway Airlines today launched its new nonstop service from Dallas-Fort Worth to Midway Airport near downtown Chicago. 3 nonstop flights will be offered daily in each direction. Dallas Mayor Steve Bartlett was on hand for the inauguration. He says the service will help business travelers. Midway officials served up Chicago-style deep dish pizza to mark the occasion.
Airline frequent flyers upset with new restrictions may be able to seek recourse today. The Supreme Court agreed to take up the case. At issue is an Illinois lawsuit filed against American Airlines on behalf of its frequent flyers. American retroactively modified its frequent flyer program in 1988. Frequent flyers want the right to sue in state courts for monetary damages. Lawyers for American contend that federal law bars such state court lawsuits.
And coming up next on News 8 at 5, a Michigan woman helps turn attention to arthritis patients who need relief from unrelenting pain.
And more trouble for an environmental project in the Arizona desert. 2 former crew members are accused of sabotage.
All right, right now, let's get a check on afternoon traffic with Metro Traffic's Gail Lightfoot. Gail?
Well, Chip, this afternoon just now reported in Carrollton 2 accidents in close proximity. Northbound I-35 Stemmons, one at Whitlock and the other at Trinity Mills. Now in Tarrant County, wrecks with arrows. The eastbound I-30 West Freeway at Cherry Street has just cleared. Also, eastbound Northeast Loop A20 at Highway 26. Construction crews on that left lane causing a backup. And another wreck westbound I-20 just before I-35, the South Freeway. Gail Lightfoot, News 8 Metro Traffic.
Where you get your wish for a fish. Even a king doesn't do it like this. Wendy doesn't have this original crunch. A better dip taste, don't go on a hunch. Go fish.
Your search is over. Long John Silver's is the only place you'll find that one-of-a-kind batter dip taste. And now for a limited time, get our original one-piece fish and fries for just $1.79.
Yeah, for better dip taste, we'll grant your wish. Well, it's Long John Silver's when you want to go fish.
Here's another Coca-Cola Starflex update. Channel 8 in the spirit of Texas welcomes Brooks and Dunn. Saturday, May 7th with special guests Aaron Tippin and Faith Hill. And Sunday, May 8th, the Southern Spirit Tour starring Marshall Tucker Band, 38 Special and more. And May 26th, the Beach Boys. Brooks and Dunn tickets on sale now. Southern Spirit and Beach Boys go on sale Friday, April 8th. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster. The summer stars are coming to the Coca-Cola Starflex. Always cool, always Coca-Cola.
They never thought the dream could come true. They never thought they could afford it.
But on March 15th, Mike Turner and his family moved into their very first home. It was a HUD home. One of hundreds HUD can help you own, for as little as 3% down. Ask a real estate agent about HUD homes, and make your own dream come true.
A Dutch airliner crashed shortly after takeoff today, killing 3 people and injuring 21 others. It happened at Amsterdam's main airport. A KLM flight carrying 24 people was on its way to Wales when it had engine problems and turned back. The twin-engine Saab overshot the runway, crashed into a muddy field, and broke apart. Rescue efforts were hindered by lack of a road close to the crash site, which is surrounded by farms.
In medical news, pain control for cancer patients gained national attention recently when doctors called on their colleagues to prescribe stronger medication to lessen cancer patients' suffering. Well, now the case of a Michigan woman who sought help from the so-called suicide doctor has put the spotlight on arthritis pain control. Channel 8's Dennis Johnson has details for us in today's HealthWise report.
The Michigan patient suffers from painful rheumatoid arthritis. She contacted Dr. Jack Kevorkian, telling him her doctor limited her pain medication.
When she asks for pain relief, they say, no, you could become addicted to something stronger. Well, what's the point?
Well, I'm just going to let you do your thing. Oh, good.
George Kitchell appreciates the struggle of the woman, who now has a morphine patch for her pain. He, too, has severe rheumatoid arthritis.
I can relate to that, but just not the way I would choose to meet the problem.
Physician-assisted death is not the choice of the Arthritis Foundation either. It says assisted suicide is not an appropriate option for people with rheumatoid arthritis or any other form of the disease. Appropriate medication can help control the pain and inflammation the disease causes. Rheumatologist Dr. Stanley Cohen says old beliefs about pain control and red tape complicate these cases.
We also are closely regulated by our state board, who keeps a tally of the amount of narcotic analgesics that we prescribe. Having said all that, I think we're shifting in our philosophy of how we're looking at people with chronic pain.
Not like the Rockettes, you understand?
Yeah, you can't do the high kick.
I don't do the high kick, no.
Humor helps George Kitchell cope with his pain, along with medications, exercise, and tips he's learned from Arthritis Foundation self-help courses.
Sometimes I can do it by imagining my walking down a lonely beach.
George's daughter, who also has rheumatoid arthritis, thinks a lack of understanding about the disease is painful.
Had I not experienced this a little bit myself personally, watching Dad all these years, I would have been one of those people that said, oh, arthritis, pick a couple of Tylenol and you'll be fine. Unless you've been there or unless you've seen it, watched it day after day, you can't know.
George Kitchell knows he's not about to give up.
You play the hand you got, and that gets us by today, and you just hang on because you hope that someday everything's going to be all right.
Dennis Johnson, Channel 8 News.
And for more information on arthritis pain control, call the Arthritis Foundation. The phone number is 1-800-442-6653.
There are reports of sabotage at the Biosphere 2 environmental project in the Arizona desert. Today, operators of Biosphere accused 2 people who once lived inside the domed environment of damaging the integrity of the project. They say the 2 broke in yesterday and damaged seals that prevent outside air from entering. Only 2 days earlier, Texas billionaire Ed Bass, the project's chief backer, got a court order to oust the facility's top managers. Bass accused them of financial and scientific mismanagement.
It's been rough sailing for that project ever since it got started. Well, your forecast was right on the mark over the weekend.
I tell you what, this time of year the weather changes so often. It's doing it again. A beautiful Sunday. The clouds increasing today. More storms tonight. Then it's going to get cold again. Hopefully we escape that freeze, but lots of stuff going on. I'll be back to tell you about it.
Captioning of News 8 is funded in part by Deloitte & Touche, providing auditing, tax, business, and management consulting services to North Texas for more than 70 years.
Very large cone-shaped tornado on the ground.
It's one of the most deadly forces of nature.
They're still hanging on to their lives.
Strike
striking anywhere, anytime, with little warning.
This is awful.
Tornado alert.
Wow, what a storm!
Witness firsthand the devastation and destruction they leave behind. Plus, step inside the leading edge of technology and learn how to keep your family safe. Tornado alert. What you need to know.
Join News 8's Troy Duncan, April 12th at 9 on Channel 8.
When you need an auto part, you don't need to search high and low.
I didn't want to mess up.
He wasn't real comfortable.
Had to pick up a master cylinder. My dad called in.
I had it already. Some brake fluid, too.
My little guy was cool.
Wanted to make sure he wouldn't have to come back.
Dad thought the brake fluid was my idea.
He could get a master cylinder anywhere. What he needed was high-low.
This Saturday, all Levitt showrooms will celebrate the grand opening of their North Richland Hills showroom at 5196 Root Snow Drive, just off Highway 820. Register to win a $5,000 shopping spree at any Metroplex showroom. No purchase necessary. See Levitt's for details.
You never knew what's on you.
Be careful if you come into Best Buy this week. You might go a little overboard because you can make no payments and pay no interest for 6 months on everything at Best Buy. Every product on every shelf, in every aisle. And though you may go a little overboard, you won't go over budget. Because you can get no payments and no interest for 6 months on everything. This week at Best Buy, where it's easy to get carried away.
Weather is sponsored by Best Buy.
Looks like another round of thunderstorms shaping up for us overnight tonight, but later than the ones we had Saturday night. This time it'll be after midnight, I think. In the early morning hours, we could have some pretty big boomers. Here's the way things are shaping up. As we look at this morning's satellite photograph, the remnants of the last front now trying to move back as a warm front. A trough of low pressure just trying to organize in West Texas. And here's how the clouds have looked today. Well, note that part of the upper airflow is southwest and northeast. There's a strong low-pressure impulse just crossing Baja California, the Mexican part of California this afternoon. The timing on that is what's critical. It looks like that will be here very late tonight, early tomorrow, and that will add enough instability to the mix to give us some storminess. Now, right now, we would have radar reports on there, but there are none. There is no precipitation noted in our part of the country. We do have this trough of low pressure, instability in a dry line, dry air west of it, moisture to the east. Low pressure sinking down along an Arctic front, which will be here tomorrow evening. So everything is coming toward us, but it's that instability impulse from the southwest that's important, and that looks like the thunderstorm producer late night, early tomorrow. Temperatures now, 75 for us, 88 at Midland, Odessa, 69 at Albuquerque, 72 in New Orleans. Southerly winds over us today have been fairly strong because of that low pressure trough, and the southerly winds will continue strong overnight tonight. Then they come westerly tomorrow afternoon and northerly tomorrow night. Then we get cooler than you might want this time of year. 78 has been our high today after a morning low of 48 at 75 now. The humidity today is 48% at 5 o'clock. The barometer is falling. Wind is south at 16, still gusting at 26, and no rain today. Now, the air quality today, moderate in Dallas, a bit of ozone in the air, good in Fort Worth. The winds picked up after that, and that should not be a problem for the next couple of days. Pollen is 469 grains per cubic meter of air. Fungus 197, oak 170, mulberry 45, cottonwood 26, then hackberry 13, ash 8, grass 8, and mountain cedar 2. Thanks to Dr. Jeff Edelglass for those figures. 10 o'clock tonight. Well, things start to come together. We may begin to see some thunderstorm activity forming in the western part of our area. Southerly winds 15 to 25. By western part of our area, I mean maybe around Abilene, Wichita Falls, 70 for us. And then by tomorrow morning, that upper low pressure wave arrives. 65 for an overnight low. The thunderstorms, if they're going to be severe, will probably be in that early morning hours type area. And then the colder air starts to arrive by the middle of the day. Drier air has replaced the thunderstorm air, so the storms move off to East Texas and western Louisiana. 68 by noon. Tomorrow afternoon's high temperature around 70, but by that time the winds will work around it northerly, and then tomorrow night it gets a little bit chilly, about 40, and a high of only 55, even with some sunshine on Wednesday afternoon. If there's a problem here, it's going to be Wednesday night, when I think it'll be in the middle 30s with maybe some frost. So more about that as the week goes on. But
some frost.
Could possibly be Wednesday night.
Okay. Thanks, Troy.
Coming up, now that things have settled down a bit at Valley Ranch, Coach Barry Switzer is getting acquainted with the players. Next in sports, we'll get the latest inside report on the Dallas Cowboys.
And then a bit later, we'll see how Martin Luther King Jr. was remembered today.
I come home from work, the phone's ringing, it's them. You know, those people who call you up saying switch from AT&T?
We got low prices and service you can't believe, yada, yada, yada.
They big and they go on and on and on.
If someone calls offering you big savings over AT&T, don't take their word for it. Ask them to...
Put it in writing. Put it in writing.
I asked them to put it in writing.
Put it in writing.
Your true
Where in the world would you go if there were no Las Vegas? What other place will you ever find where you can spend the entire day teeing off, stepping out, or just winding down? And all night really living it up? Only in Las Vegas.
He's called the biggest mass murderer in U.S. history, and you've probably never heard of him.
I call him a death merchant. I mean, he really deals in death, and that's what he's all about. There's a real cloud of death that hangs over this individual.
His weapon, a home chemistry lab.
He's as much a murderer as people who pull out a gun and shoot another person.
Crime Crisis, Forrest Sawyer, Day 1.
That's tonight, here on Channel 8, followed by the News 8 update.
It is one of those spring fever type days that you just want to be outside.
Yeah, and the charity golf tournaments have started. So 3 guesses where Dale Hansen is today. Well, he's live at the Hyatt Bear Creek Golf Course.
It's Bobby Bragan's Youth Foundation being played here at Bear Creek, and we made it through anyway. We played all 18 holes. I could have been watching the Rangers lose. I didn't want to do that. They did to the Yankees 5-3. And Cowboys coach Barry Switzer met the players. So let's talk about that. And here's Susie Woodham.
I had the gentleman come in my office a while ago. I wasn't even aware it was on the squad because he wasn't in the program because he's traded for in the middle of the year. You understand? I didn't even know he was here, but he was in the Big 8 conference. I coached
The getting to know you period has officially started for Cowboys coach Barry Switzer, as about 30 players wandered in and out of Valley Ranch on the day of their first team meeting in the Switzer era.
Been looking forward to meeting him anyway, and you know, you hear so much. I didn't meet Jimmy till I got drafted, so you know, I'm looking forward to it, and just you know, just want to take it one day at a time and play it by ear.
He had a great analogy. He said that it's like one bus driver getting off, another one getting on, taking down the same road. I got the impression that you know, he's an upbeat kind of guy, and you know, he's a great motivator, and you know, that's the impression that I got in the meeting.
Most of the players who attended have been in Dallas throughout the offseason. And almost predictably, Michael Irvin was the only one who left early and visibly agitated, this time with no comment.
I said that Michael, Emmett, and all those guys that play for Jimmy Johnson and have a fierce loyalty for him and support him, that's an admirable quality. I really would feel badly about it if I was the coach here and my players didn't support me. Damn right I'd be upset about it. So that didn't upset me and doesn't bother me.
But while Switzer reassured the back-to-back Super Bowl champions that not much should change during his tenure, the meeting wasn't without a few surprises.
But he coached Jimmy and Jerry. I wanted to ask him how they were as players, but didn't get to that part. But that kind of surprised me because he doesn't look as old as they do. Well, he'll age quickly now, though.
Meanwhile, what's getting old for some players is the constant scrutiny.
You got the Rangers starting their season. You got the Stars in town for the first time in 2 weeks, playing 4 of the last 5 games against division opponents. There's got to be something else out there better than this story right now.
Are you signed yet?
No, I'm not. Hopefully by the end of this week.
Could be the first coup of the Switzer era. Susie Woodhams, Channel 8 Sports.
Well, you hope Daryl Johnson signed by the end of the week. You certainly hope it's with the Dallas Cowboys. The Rangers did lose their opener in New York. Kevin Brown, 5 innings, gave up 10 hits, 5 runs, and the Yankees beat the Rangers 5-3. We'll have those highlights at 6. And a very quick basketball note, Duke in Arkansas tonight, and Cherokee Parks, who's got a torn ligament, will play tonight for Duke. Should be a good basketball game. We'll talk to you more at 6.
Okay. We'll see you then. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
The dreamer is gone, but his dreams linger on. The nation marked the 26th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today amidst renewed calls for social change and less crime.
In Atlanta, King's widow, Coretta Scott King, laid a wreath at King's tomb. She said the nation has come a long way, but not far enough, because drugs, gangs, and guns still infest the streets.
King's sister said the legacy of the slain civil rights leader will be carried on by a new generation of leaders.
And now, very quickly, a correction to a story we told you about earlier. Dallas Attorney Ron Kirk was sworn in today as the state's new Secretary of State. We called Kirk the first African-American to hold that job. He is not. He is, however, the first African-American male to serve in that position. Myra McDaniel, a woman, was the state's first African-American Secretary of State, and she served from 1984 to 1987.
Regardless, congratulations to Ron Kirk, who is from Dallas.
And he takes enthusiasm to the job and hopes to increase voter turnout, which we have seen kind of dwindling in recent elections.
We definitely need improvement in that category. I want to thank you for joining us, and a special thank you to the kids at Arcadia Park Elementary School tonight.
You must have had lunch there today.
That's right, I've been there. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Good night.
Wall Street goes its own way again. And what does a down market mean? In Texas, $1 billion of your tax money to close down a project that was too expensive in the first place. And the San Francisco Giants. Will technology really make them hit better?
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We're going to begin on Wall Street this Monday. It's been another of those days which only the makers of antacid tablets really love. Despite vigorous cheerleading by members of the Clinton administration, Mr. Clinton himself said today the economy is sound, interest rates will come down, the stock market took another dive. The Dow Jones Industrial Average of 30 industrial stocks lost 42 points in very heavy trading. We have two reports, so we begin with ABC's Bob Jamieson.
The stock market opened to a wave of selling, driven by rising interest rates. In the first 15 minutes of trading, the Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged more than 63 points. Within an hour, blue chips had fallen 83 points before a fitful comeback that saw the market close down almost 43 points at 35.93. And volume, an extremely heavy 342 million shares, underscored the market's turmoil. As bad as it was, many analysts had predicted there would be a deeper drop after the long holiday weekend. And there were no signs of panic among individual investors as the market's decline entered its second week.
Well, right now I'm just holding on for things and see how things go. It's very difficult now to make some decisions.
Savings didn't pay very much the past few years, so pretty much put everything into stocks.
And there was no sign that such investors were selling their shares in mutual funds that pumped billions of dollars into the stock market in the last several years. That helped drive the bull market, which began in October of 1990 when the Dow was at 2365. 3 years later, it was at 3630, and by the end of January, it stood at 3978. But the recent sell-off to 3593 today has seen the market lose about 9% of its value. Wall Street traders say stocks had become overvalued and the market was ripe for at least a 10% decline. But they worry now that this is no correction, but the beginning of a long decline with interest rates at a 14-month high and rising.
What's happened is stocks went up because rates went down. Now the rates are going up, stocks are going down. They have to adjust to an equilibrium.
Some Wall Street analysts predict the market could fall another 200 points or more, but not all at once. Investors, they believe, may see a series of sell-offs like today's over the next several months. Bob Jamieson, ABC News, New York.
Well, how many times in the past have we said not everyone understands this stuff? President Clinton said again today that with the number of new jobs that are being created, and even if interest rates sneak up a little, the national economy is in pretty good shape, and most economists agree. But the stock market has gone down 300 points in the last couple of weeks, so what's going on here? We are joined this evening by ABC's Robert Krulwich, a new correspondent in our midst, but who's been covering money matters for a long time. Robert, welcome to ABC. Nice to have your expertise. Explain this to us. When there's so much good economic news around at the national level, why does the market react negatively?
Well, you know, to make these things, to make it simple, it's really the bond market that's the core of the problem. The bond market has a peculiar
sort of reverse psychology here. If you were to open up a newspaper and see that hundreds of thousands of people had just gotten work, any normal person would be thrilled. In the bond market, they look at the exact same news and they think, uh-oh. What they worry about is they are a market driven by large institutions with tremendous amounts of money who invest for long periods of time. When they see that headline, they think, uh-oh, very soon more people are going to ask for raises. Very soon businessmen are going to charge more for their products. They are predicting a new round of inflation very shortly, and they are worried.
And does this mean they have a lot of power? The Clinton administration appears to pay a lot of attention to the bond market.
They have quite a bit of power, and the main power they have is they can put pressure on the federal government to raise interest rates. If enough people leave the bond market, pressure is on the government to raise rates. When rates go up, it has a profound effect on all of us.
Now, this is a hypothetical question, but if a lot of people decided to take their money out of the bond market and put it back in banks, presumably for a higher interest rate, what would this mean to the national economy?
If it happens very quickly, it could send the stock market tumbling. It could mean that the bond market presumably would be raising interest rates, and therefore businesses all over the nation would find it a little harder to borrow money. Interest rates would be a little higher, and the economy would grow a little more slowly. Politically, for President Clinton, that would not be good news.
Robert Kowich, newest ABC correspondent, thank you very much. In a moment, we'll go on to the other news, the latest reign of terror in northern Bosnia. And terror in Chicago as well, where a truce between gangs seems to be breaking down. And your money, your choice. $188 million more to shut down an expensive government experiment.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by American Honda.
The competition included more than 100 of the world's best cars. But in the end, only one was judged a car ahead. Motor Trend's Import Car of the Year, the new Accord from Honda.
Fibercon or Metamucil? Both give you the same predictable regularity, the same natural action of fiber. So what makes Fibercon different? With Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets. Fibercon, fiber regularity that's easier to take.
The dermatologist said there's no cure for dry skin, but there is Curel.
Clinical tests prove Curel moisturizes better than even Lubriderm or Cari.
Curel sure feels like a cure to me.
Until there's a cure, there's Curel.
In Bosnia today, the Serbs have intensified their campaign to drive Muslim civilians from their homes. It was the Serbs who first called it ethnic cleansing. Today, they are pounding away at the predominantly Muslim village of Gorazde, one of the areas the UN Security Council promised to protect as a safe haven. And in 2 other places, Prijedor and Banja Luka, the Bosnian Serbs are using the most traditional method to carry out ethnic cleansing. Here's ABC's Tony Bertley.
The town of Banja Luka in northern Bosnia, on the surface a place at peace far away from the fighting. But in Banja Luka and the nearby town of Prijedor, ethnic cleansing continues, practiced by the Serbs against the Muslim population.
Mosques are being razed to the ground, being turned into car parks. This suggests that this is not just the isolated action of a few criminal elements, but a part of policy.
This is the Gazinci refugee camp in Croatia, the new home for thousands of Muslims who say Serb treatment of civilians has become too much to bear. The story unfurling of what is happening in northern Bosnia is one of continuing Serb-inflicted oppression and terror, the worst kind of ethnic cleansing, which is largely being ignored by the outside world. The Kurjak family arrived here 5 days ago from Prijedor. Sakib Kurjak said that Serbs severely beat him for no reason on 3 occasions.
Serbs are destroying Muslim houses. They are killing family after family. You can't walk the street as a free man.
His wife, Vahida, told a story that even her husband had not heard before.
I had to give myself to groups of Serb soldiers to be regularly raped for an 8-month period, or they said they would do the same to my daughters.
Nearly every cabin here has a tale of horror. Habiba Chulum left Banja Luka 6 days ago. She says that on March 13th, a gang of Serb soldiers burst into her house, beat her husband half to death before shooting him dead, raped her 3 daughters, and broke her leg.
I just wish the same thing could happen to them. They've been doing this forever. They're worse than animals.
The Serbs are allowing up to 60 Muslims and Croats to leave the Banja Luka area each week. UN officials say that this is a small enough number so as not to be seen as ethnic cleansing on a mass scale. But of the 350,000 Muslims who lived here before the war, only an estimated 70,000 now remain. Tony Bertley, ABC News, Gazinci refugee camp, Croatia.
Further international news in Mexico today. The man in charge of security for the presidential candidate who was assassinated 2 weeks ago has been arrested, and so have 3 of the guards he hired to protect the candidate, Luis Donaldo Colosio. The Mexican government special investigator now says the murder appears to have been a conspiracy that involves at least 7 people. Gunfire and violence in Chicago. There has been a dramatic increase in the level of violence over the past 3 weeks, particularly in some of Chicago's housing projects. A year-old truce among street gangs appears to be breaking down. Housing authority police say that a recent court ruling restricting their ability to search for guns makes it harder for them to contain the violence. Here's ABC's Aaron Hayes.
These are the signs of the end to Chicago's gang truce. A 3-year-old blinded, caught in gang crossfire last week. A 10-year-old killed trying to ride his bike away from warring gangs.
It's bad around here.
I don't feel safe.
Effie Church says she got caught in crossfire.
The gang were firing out the bus, and they were firing in the bus.
When you were?
I was on the bus.
At the Robert Taylor Homes housing project, where 12,000 people live, the problem is at its worst. The last weekend in March, there were nearly 300 reports of shootings here at Robert Taylor Homes. 3 were killed, 3 wounded, convincing many a police crackdown is the only thing that can bring peace. This is what Chicago's housing authority did 2 years ago when gang violence got bad. They brought in police to sweep the housing projects for guns without search warrants. Why not do it again? A judge has ruled this infringes on the rights of law-abiding residents, and he's put a temporary stop to unrestricted sweeps.
A home is deserving of the highest protection under the 4th Amendment, the guarantee against unreasonable searches and seizure.
But housing officials insist sweeps are necessary to deter gangs.
If they believe that the Chicago Housing Authority is going to search the premises, they're not going to store their illegal weapons and drugs and other acts of terrorism in the building.
Many say there are plenty of residents ready to accept an invasion of privacy in return for protection.
What greater invasion than in your own home? You can't walk around for fear of someone's going to shoot at you.
Police confiscated these weapons in very limited searches at housing projects last week, and they're convinced intensive sweeps would net many more. A final ruling on whether those sweeps should be allowed is expected later this week. Aaron Hayes, ABC News, Chicago.
Elsewhere in the country, in Arizona, an apparent act of sabotage against Biosphere 2. That is the self-contained environmental community sealed off from the outside world. 2 former crew members are being accused of breaking in and damaging the seals that exclude outside air from the biosphere. It happened just 3 days after the project's financial backer, Edward Bass, fired his senior managers, accusing them of financial and scientific mismanagement. In our next segment, play ball the high-tech way.
Any kids around there, James?
Sorry, Billy, not your age.
A little earlier, Jane Stewart was troubled with arthritis pain, so she took a Motrin IB. The same Motrin doctors have prescribed for years, but in non-prescription strength. And just 1 Motrin IB is as effective as 2 regular aspirin.
All right, kid. Let's see what you got.
And James?
Come on.
Motrin IB, the relief of Motrin in non-prescription strength. Now available in a new, easy-to-open, fast-cap package.
So, where's the boss today?
Picked up his new car.
What'd he get? The BMW? The Lexus?
Neither. He got the Bonneville.
Really?
Said it had anti-lock brakes, leather, dual airbags. Said with all that and the way it drives, he couldn't see spending 10 to 20 grand more.
He likes bargains.
He likes cars.
It's nice to know that one phone call to a Farmers Insurance agent can take care of your insurance needs. And with a Farmers Friendly Review, you know everything is properly covered. Farmers Friendly Review. for your home. For your car. And for your family. Farmers Insurance Group. For home, auto, and life.
Tonight, he's called the biggest mass murderer in U.S. history, and you've probably never heard of him.
I call him a death merchant. I mean, he really deals in death.
His weapon, a home chemistry lab. Crime Crisis, Forrest Sawyer, Day 1, tonight.
Well, it was quite a day for baseball. After last night's opener at Cincinnati, most of the other teams went into action today. President Clinton tossed out the first ball at Cleveland's new stadium. Mrs. Clinton did the honors at the Cubs game in Chicago. She also helped the Cubs announcer, Harry Carey, sing his traditional seventh-inning serenade. At least that's when he let her have the microphone. In the game itself, quite a day for Carl Rhodes of the Cubs. In his first 3 times at bat, 1, 2, 3 home runs.
Both broadcasts.
No help for the Cubs, though. The Cubs lost to the Mets 12-8. As another season gets underway, we know that before long there are going to be some horrendous arguments going on about all manner of things having to do with the way baseball is and the way it used to be, even last year. We thought we'd contribute to the debate early on with this report on the newest training methods. ABC's Ken Kashiwahara is with the San Francisco Giants.
As baseball fans watched the San Francisco Giants open their '94 season today, players and coaches were taking a close look, an unusually close look. Players like Matt Williams spent his spring training taking part in an unconventional high-tech experiment.
1, 2, 3, go.
It is called BioVision, a high-performance computer graphics system which enables players and coaches to see details they could never see before. With reflective markers attached to a player's body, 6 cameras record every movement, producing a 3-dimensional model accurate to a 100th of an inch.
You can isolate so many different parts of the body.
The computer can display a player's swing or pitching motion from every conceivable angle, from above his head, even from under his feet. Coaches can tell with greater accuracy what's wrong and what's right.
Let me see Matty's lines from his swing going down through his head. There's a spine line now. Now we're going to see how your balance is. Let me see here. Yep, not bad. Keep going. There, right there. See? Perfect.
I think the biggest thing that I got out of watching that video or that display today was my balance. And to keep my balance good, then there's no reason I shouldn't hit.
Okay. By recording the ideal swing or pitch, the player can use it as a benchmark later in the year.
When I'm going bad and I don't feel comfortable with the way I'm throwing, I can go back and look at it and correct it.
The BioVision system can even isolate individual body parts, the eyes, for example, or the joints. That also allows the team doctor to help players avoid injury.
If you open up too much, then you're going to have too much stress concentrated in your shoulder.
But Giants manager Dusty Baker, who considers BioVision scientific and not a gimmick, says not all of his players are willing to try it.
All people aren't open to change, aren't open to new, technology. So, I don't really force anybody to do it.
He goes, Matt Williams. Baker wants to see whether the players who use this futuristic technology really improve this year before deciding what role it will play in the Giants' future.
A 3-run home run for Matt Williams.
Ken Kashiwahara, ABC News, San Francisco.
And we have one note this evening on baseball and smoking. The American Medical Association today has asked Major League team owners to ban all smoking in stadium seats. The AMA also wants to ban billboards that promote tobacco products inside the park. Be right back.
When brewing a whole pot of coffee doesn't make sense, choose new Maxwell House Filter Pack Singles. The fresh brewed taste of Maxwell House coffee, 1 cup at a time. Filter Pack Singles. New from Maxwell House.
The Ace Springtacular sale is a smart place to start your spring, because they've got all the stuff you're going to need for all the stuff you got to do this spring. And it's all at the prices you're gonna love. The Ace Springtacular Sale. Do it now.
Lobster.
Red lobster.
Now get 2 Maine lobster tails surrounded by fried shrimp and, scampi. Our lobster and 18 shrimp special, just $11.99 at Red Lobster.
Busy? Wish there were 10 more of you? Whirlpool understands and designs washers that can help. Our super capacity washer holds lots of clothes, so you'll do fewer loads. And its simple controls are easy to use, so you can do other things, even if there is only one of you. Because you and Whirlpool know how to make a home run. See your Whirlpool dealer for great values during the National Home Laundry Day sale, now through May 20th.
Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealers have a system for repairs. The focal point is the service advisor. He's the primary customer contact in diagnosing problems and allocating all the resources to get the job done in the quickest, most economical way.
And we'll get this car on the road.
He can help save you time, he can help save you money, and you can only find him at a Ford or Lincoln Mercury dealer. Quality care, where the quality continues.
We have the makings of a success story to report from Africa tonight, a success for the United Nations. After an extraordinary, bloody civil war, the Southeast African nation of Mozambique finally seems to be building a lasting peace with the help of the United Nations. Quite a contrast with what we've seen in Somalia. ABC's John McCarthy went from Somalia recently to Mozambique to see what makes the difference.
In Somalia, a UN force that at one time numbered nearly 30,000 soldiers had to abandon its ambitious goals of trying to disarm the fighters and force an end to the civil war. That painful retreat has left many believing that peacekeeping in general is a failure. As badly as things appear to be turning out here in Somalia, a very different story is unfolding 500 miles to the south. Here in Mozambique, a much smaller force of UN peacekeepers, some 6,000 in all, are on the verge of a smashing success, carefully moving this country toward peace after one of this century's bloodiest civil wars. In fact, the killing in Mozambique over the last 16 years makes the fighting in Somalia and even Bosnia pale by comparison. More than 1 million people died from the fighting in Mozambique, far more than the other two conflicts combined. 40% of the population was driven from their homes. The country was utterly destroyed. But as UN peacekeepers now patrol the roads and towns in Mozambique, no one shoots at them as they do in Somalia or Bosnia. They are welcome. When the UN put out a call for fighters to lay down their arms and demobilize, both the government and the Renamo guerrillas began complying. Elections are set for the fall. Peacekeeping is working in Mozambique. You can see it and hear it wherever you go. Government soldiers at this demobilization camp sing that the door is open for peace and they want to enter. The key difference between Mozambique and Somalia is that in Mozambique, both sides fought in a civil war to utter exhaustion. They negotiated a peace agreement by themselves, and only then was the UN invited to help. Unlike Somalia, there was no attempt by the outside world to force an end to the fighting. Aldo Aiello runs the UN effort in Mozambique.
If we would think about solving the problem here militarily, we would fail. That the military component is support, cannot be an alternative to a political initiative.
One of the surest signs that peace is taking hold in Mozambique can be found at this sleepy military base in the middle of the country. A remarkable experiment is underway, pointing Mozambique in a new direction. Soldiers who 18 months ago were killing each other now share these barracks, building a new joint Mozambican defense force. Zacharia Clemente fought for the government, but did not hesitate to show us soldiers in his unit who were with the hated Renamo guerrillas.
And now you are friends.
Unlike so many civil wars, the people of Mozambique seem willing to bury their differences.
The Mozambicans think that it was enough what happened, and they don't want it to happen anymore.
It's very difficult for us to understand, us being Westerners.
I think it's difficult for other Africans from Somalia, for example, to understand the level of forgiveness, the ability to move onwards, look towards the future.
If there is a lesson to be learned here, it might be from the people of Mozambique. As tempting as it may be for the world to intervene in another country's war, peacekeeping is most successful when those who are fighting want peace as much or more than the UN does. Only then can the world really help. John McWethy, ABC News, Mozambique.
Our final report when we come back.
Day 3, fresh flowers. You can't help but notice all the fresh flowers aboard this Royal Caribbean ship. Someone's always scrubbing or polishing something. Our waiter Emilio told us the sheets are washed in soft water in case you've been out in the sun too long. Our ship sailed south. I head north, upstairs to the health spa.
You've got some Royal Caribbean coming.
Stay with me on this one. Goodyear has engineered a great formula. This week, when you buy 3 selected Goodyear tires at the regular price, for passenger cars, light trucks, or performance cars, you get the 4th tire free. It's that simple. Isn't it?
Leave it to Peerless Faucet to create a shower so smart, it can not only sense when a toilet has been flushed, it can also adjust the water temperature accordingly. Scald Guard technology by Peerless. Get more out of your faucet than just water.
The American Cancer Society suggests all women do monthly breast self-exams. But something both men and women should do is eat foods with fiber as part of a low-fat diet, which may actually reduce the risk of some types of cancer. Basic health care.
Get this. By 9 a.m., you could get half your daily requirement of fiber by eating 5 large shredded wheat biscuits or just 1 bowl of Kellogg's All-Bran Extra Fiber. Kellogg's All-Bran, first on fiber.
Finally, from us this evening, the giant government project that will not go away as planned. Yes, this is our regular look at some of the ways the government spends your money. Last year, the government decided that the Super Collider Science Research Project in Texas should be closed down. And a lot of people thought the government was therefore through pouring money into the Super Collider. Not yet, it turns out. Here's ABC's John Martin.
Last year, after having spent $2 billion on this super collider to study the behavior of atomic particles, Congress decided to save money. It ordered the Department of Energy to stop construction, dismiss workers, pay off contractors, and turn out the lights. But then the agency said it needed more money to close the project, nearly $700 million more. Congress went along. Then last month, the department set off alarms by asking for still more money.
Here we are a year later thinking the project's going to go to an orderly termination, and lo and behold, the administration is asking for $180 million more. Texas is sort of licking its chops, figuring that it could maybe end up making a profit in the whole deal.
Texas says that no matter how much has been spent, it is still owed money. It had to build roads and buy property and equipment to get the project started. It says it spent $500 million that it intends to get back.
If we don't, and we have to sue the federal government, that could conceivably be a judgment in a federal court for $2 or $3 billion.
But some economists say Texas is ignoring $1 billion worth of economic stimulus it got in jobs and commerce by winning the project in the first place. For its part, the DOE says it can't just close something this big without extra expenses that can't be foreseen right away.
This is not a scandal. This is simply a timing issue.
The DOE says it isn't exactly sure where the $180 million will go, but part of it will be used to figure out what to do with the leftover structures and equipment. These facilities already belong to Texas, but rather than let Texas worry about this with its own money, DOE is giving Texas $6 million more of your money. Among the budgeted expenses, $4,700,000 for salaries and fringe benefits, $750,000 for unspecified contracts, and $355,000 for travel.
Even when it's all added up, does this add up? To close a project it thought it had already killed, Uncle Sam is ready to spend $880 million more of your money. John Martin, ABC News, New York.
And that's our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget Day 1 later this evening. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a nice evening. Good night.
Victoria Principal's a devoted mother with a dream.
Everyone who loves us.
But somehow,
Wrong.
something's gone terribly wrong. After a childhood of abuse, was her daughter guilty of the ultimate revenge?
Do you understand the charge for conspiracy to commit murder?
Victoria Principal Beyond Obsession, Monday here on ABC.
Coming up, 2 young men are gunned down during a late-night robbery at a White Rock area video store.
Nervous investors send Wall Street plummeting again.
And which Democratic candidate will face Kay Bailey Hutchison in the U.S. Senate race? The debate heats up.
Stay with us. News 8 at 6 is next.
Do you ever get nervous, with all those people watching? No. A doctor should get nervous. I'm talking about baseball and football games. What's to be nervous about? When I mess up, nobody dies. When the dentist messes up, I got a drill down through my jaw. That hurts. He should be nervous. I'm doing just fine. I'm doing just fine. I'm sitting here talking ball scores.
If you could live inside an alcoholic, you'd understand the depth of his dependence.
Hey, bartender, one more drink.
The isolation.
I don't need your help.
The lack of control.
I can quit anytime.
And you would know that inside...
Don't worry, I'll cut down.
He's desperately crying for help.
Call Charter Hospital at 1-800-CHARTER. If you don't get help at Charter, please get help somewhere.
Join in the fun with the Kennedy Center Imagination Celebration, a free arts festival for the entire family, Saturday, April 9th at the Dallas Museum of Art in the spirit of Texas. Working in the spirit of Texas, from WFAA TV, this is News 8 at 6.
We've had a number of calls come in. We have a number of leads we're pursuing, but we have no warrants and have not made any arrests at this time.
2 young men are murdered inside a video store, and tonight police use videotape to try to catch the gunman. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Late this afternoon, police released a videotape taken by the store's security cameras. The murders happened around closing time at a newly opened Blockbuster video store in the Casa Linda Shopping Center at Buckner Boulevard and Garland Road. Channel 8's Alan Berg is now at police headquarters with the latest on the murder investigation. Alan?
Gloria, the tape shows the 2 employees walking into a back office. Neither makes an aggressive move. There appears to be a moment of tour conversation, and then the gunman shoots them both. Blockbuster authorized the police department to release the videotape with the hope that somebody will recognize the killer. Early this morning, police began scanning videotapes from the store's security system. The cameras captured the entire act. Police say the suspect is 5'4" to 5'6", weighs between 140 and 160 pounds, and has some facial hair. He also wore a 2-tone coat, which is lightly colored at the top and at the end of the sleeves. The Casa Linda Blockbuster opened just last week. 26-year-old James Armstrong and 20-year-old Brad Lindsay apparently were closing when the gunman confronted them.
When one of the employees didn't come home, his mother went to the store, found it locked, summoned the police, who, after a couple hours, managed to contact someone with Blockbuster to get in.
At the store this morning, workers repaired the locks, and the sign said Blockbuster would open late due to reasons beyond our control. One business owner here questioned why the shopping center managers did not provide more security.
Well, I'd like to, be able to see security here and not just during the daytime when, obviously there's a lot of people around, but, at nighttime as well.
Police say the gunman apparently was in the store at closing. Investigators believe he shot Armstrong and Lindsay in the store office with a handgun. The gunman also took the money from the store cash registers. A friend of Lindsay's didn't learn the news until she arrived at the store.
He was working for his, I guess it was GED, and he was taking on a full-time job here.
And at the store, those entering the Blockbuster first had to step over the flowers, which rested just under the security sign that left a killer undeterred. Blockbuster Video is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the killer. Casa Linda Shopping Center says that it already planned to beef up security prior to the double murders. Reporting live at police headquarters, Alan Berg, Channel 8 News.
Okay, Alan, thank you. The stock market continued its slide today amid new fears of higher interest rates. In fact, a look at the market shows the dramatic result of the Fed's move to prevent inflation. The market began the year up and continued higher until February 4th, the day the Fed announced it would raise interest rates. The Fed again raised rates on March 22nd, and again the Dow fell. But the steepest decline came last week when the Dow lost more than 139 points. And today, the Dow plunged more than 42 points to close at a new 1994 low of 3593.35.
The bull market has a 10% correction, goes down about 10%, lets everybody who wants to take a profit and turns around and goes back up. And the problem is we've gone down 10%. You don't know if it's going to stop. The definition of a bear market is probably somewhere down around a 20% loss. But for right now, it looks like this is a correction, a stopover, and what otherwise is probably going to be a decent market.
Johnson says there's no easy answer to whether you should sell your stocks, but he says you should do whatever allows you to sleep at night.
Well, small investors playing the market play a powerful role in the stock market's overall strength. Investment strategists who measure that kind of selling activity believe things aren't that bad because they're not seeing an overall panic. Channel 8's Sonia Van Sickle reports.
The week before the April 15th tax deadline is expected to bring on considerable activity at investment companies, customers making last-minute changes to get the most bang for their buck. But news of a bear market on Wall Street has also brought in a large number of calls and filled offices with investors.
What we're finding today is a lot of people are calling in, but most of them are just checking in, seeing what the market's doing and seeing how their funds are performing.
For some investors, news that stocks had started to plunge was enough to cause them to take quick action. Those who feared the market's weakness isn't over decided to get out while they still have something to lose.
I just sold everything.
Linda Berthold said she's going to hold on to her money and watch the market for a couple of weeks before choosing whether to reinvest. At the same time, however, she put more investment dollars into the market for her mother.
I was in a higher risk. She's in a smaller risk. So she's going to wait it out. I sold.
Charles Schwab, Dallas. This is Brett. May I help you?
At Charles Schwab, investors watched cautiously as the market plunged and then started gaining again. Ironically, Billy Duff got into the market in 1987, just months before things really crashed. He advises riding out the storm.
You got to be patient in this business. If there's anything that I've learned in the 7 years that I've put into this business full time, is that you got to be real patient in the stock market.
Of course, investors with a broad portfolio may benefit from the down market. For those, this latest activity actually looks good.
It's a very, very nasty decline. I don't think it's anywhere near over.
Those who know say it's best to gamble only what you can afford to lose. Sonia Van Sickle, Channel 8 News.
Early voting began today in the Democratic U.S. Senate runoff election as the candidates traded more verbal punches. In taping an appearance on Primetime Texas, Jim Maddox and Richard Fisher attempted to show differences between themselves on the issue of health care reform.
Jim's already stated his preference. It's what's called the Canadian-style single-payer system. It's been a disaster in Canada. It's infinitely expensive. We have Canadians, I was just down at Lubbock the other day, we have Canadians crossing the border all the way down to Lubbock to get operated on.
Richard, if the Canadian system were as bad as you think it is, they wouldn't have the kind of satisfaction levels that they have there.
They're pretty low.
No, they are not actually. And Richard, it shows that you know nothing about the system up there. You need to go check into it if we start talking about it.
And you can see the full Fisher-Maddox debate tomorrow night at 9 o'clock on a special edition of Primetime Texas right here on Channel 8.
An African-American lawyer from Dallas made Texas political history today. In a richly symbolic ceremony, Ron Kirk became Secretary of State on the anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. As Channel 8's Robert Riggs reports from Austin, Kirk had a special message for Texans.
I, Ron Kirk,
do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
The virtues of hard work and determination in the face of discrimination earned 39-year-old Ron Kirk a seat at the table of political power. The historic swearing-in of Texas' first African-American man to serve as Secretary of State marked a record number of minority appointments by Governor Ann Richards.
So help me God.
An overflow crowd witnessed the historic occasion at the Capitol. It symbolizes a shift toward a minority of Texas becoming the majority.
What's happening here today very much represents what is going to happen in Texas in the future.
Kirk is a lawyer lobbyist and former legislative staff member who is highly regarded as an all-around nice guy. He thanked friends and politicians who helped his 20-year-long climb to power in Texas politics by citing this African proverb: it takes a village to raise a child.
I was blessed to grow up in a family where we were taught to appreciate what we had rather than what we were denied. to expect and accept only the best and never allow discrimination or prejudice to serve as an intellectual crutch.
Kirk accepted the challenge of public service in honor of his mother. His parents tirelessly worked for civil rights in Austin. Kurt says he is guided by his mother's simple philosophy of life.
If you have anything at all, you have something to share. She's the only person I know, though, who could give somebody else the shirt off of your back.
As the state's chief elections officer, Kirk pledged to improve a steady decline in low voter turnout. Kirk also says he wants to reverse two popular myths, that the government is not responsive and that your vote doesn't count. Robert Riggs, Channel 8 News, Austin.
Now, still ahead on News 8 at 6, a Garland man finally walks to freedom nearly 2 years after being cleared for release from jail.
And the Dallas Museum of Art tries to save its valuable collection from tight budget times.
Camcorders are over this way, Irv. Oh, that's the computer that we bought at the warehouse store, Irv.
Better. This one's better.
Well, we kind of knew what we wanted.
I could have used a little advice.
Okay, we paid less.
We paid more.
Buy your new computer with confidence at Circuit City. We've got a great selection of top brands, state-of-the-art service, and always the low price guaranteed.
I could have bought a better computer.
For less?
Circuit City. We've got your new computer right here.
If you want a Consumer's Digest Best Buy like Tercel, then get to your Toyota dealer and get to quality during Toyota's March sales event. If you appreciate value, then save on Tercel's Extra Value Option Package. And for a limited time, a low lease deal makes Tercel even more affordable. If you're looking for quality that's hot, wild, and practical, get into Paseo. But you better hurry. This sales event won't last forever.
On the next Primetime Texas.
This man is the David Koresh of the Democratic Party.
He can promise anything because he stands for nothing.
There's no love lost between these two. Texas senatorial candidates Jim Maddox and Richard Fisher square off in the debate you've been waiting for. Unstructured, unrehearsed, and uncensored. Anything can happen.
He wants to buy his way in, start at the top.
Jim has trouble with the truth.
It's the candidates like you've never seen them before, and you'll only see them on Primetime Texas, tomorrow night at 9, here on Channel 8.
I don't say this to many people, but the job we do is the most important job I can think of.
Okay, guys, listen up.
I mean, there's no such thing as a B-plus mechanic on this airline.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Even the most junior mechanic can keep an airplane in this hangar if there's a hint of a problem. We might think a job like this would become routine, but every now and then, I just take a walk through the terminal, and right there, you see what's important.
Radio stations throughout North Texas are members of the Spirit of Texas Radio Network. You can hear News 8 on Classical 101, WRR, Dallas-Fort Worth.
In Mexico, a special investigator says at least 7 people were involved in the assassination of the ruling party's presidential candidate. He says evidence gathered from videotapes and witnesses supports his claim of a conspiracy. Luis Donaldo Colosio was gunned down on March 23rd after giving a campaign speech in a rough Tijuana neighborhood. The alleged gunman was arrested at the scene. Mexican police now say 4 others, including an organizer of Colosio's local security detail, are in custody.
And local police now know the name of the woman whose remains were found yesterday by a North Fort Worth family hunting for Easter eggs. The Tarrant County medical examiner identified the woman as 44-year-old Mary Abbs. Her body was found in a wooded area behind a house in the 3100 block of Loving. She was a resident of that block, and neighbors say she'd been missing since last summer. The ME is still trying to determine how she died.
And we have a happy ending now for Andrea Walton, a man Channel 8's Gary Reeves first told you about. He's free tonight after being jailed for a crime he did not commit. It was an emotional reunion for Walton and his mother outside the Lou Sterrett Justice Center today. For the past year, she's been fighting to get her son released. Walton was on parole when he was arrested for murder in the summer of 1992. Last year, a jury cleared him of the crime, but for unexplained reasons, the parole board would not release it. Walton says he's learned a lot from his ordeal.
This is teaching me to be even stronger, even though when they try to keep you down, to lift yourself up and even be stronger. And if another problem come up like this again, be ready to face it too.
Under conditions of Walton's release, he must report to his parole officer once a week. Despite that, though, Walton says he's glad to have his freedom back.
A Dallas City Council member had designs on artwork at the Dallas Museum of Art to help balance the budget. Well, that drew criticism from the museum director. So the two sides met today at Dallas City Hall to resolve their artistic differences. Channel 8's Jamie Tobias reports on the outcome.
The latest touring exhibition at the Dallas Museum of Art is called The American West, Legendary Artists of the Frontier. But the museum's own frontier could have stopped at Dallas City Hall. Councilmember Bob Stimson proposed selling some of the museum's stored art to help balance the budget. Museum Director Jay Gates called that idea a disreputable embarrassment. Today, the two met face-to-face. They agreed there was a misunderstanding.
It's a plausible thing to ask the question, gee, couldn't you do this, that, or the other? The thoughtful answer to it is no. And the reason that you can't is because it violates that trust, and it undermines the purpose of the museum in the first place. It creates a very, very slippery slope.
A slope Stimson was trying to navigate without knowing that to violate that trust could endanger future acquisitions and keep touring exhibitions away.
The last thing in the world I want him to do is violate his code of ethics in his business, and I wouldn't nobody would want me to do it in mine. And so what we've agreed to do is to go forward in a very proactive way to try to make his life easier and make sure the city gets the best deal for the money.
There will be no major art sell-off. Gates says he will strive to be more efficient in the way he reviews his collection. Stimson agreed to help cut the red tape Gates has to go through at City Hall to consider city-owned works. But he says he'll continue to raise the questions.
And it may ruffle some feathers along the way, but unless we do that, then we don't have much chance of change.
But Gates says change must be made according to the standards, so as not to endanger the greater good of the artistic frontier. Jamie Tobias, Channel 8 News.
Well, the arts budget is just one part of the city budget which must be resolved this summer.
Well, we were all giving Troy hugs earlier because the day yesterday was so pretty. In fact, I got in line twice. I enjoyed that. More good weather coming up, huh?
Well, I don't think you're going to want to hug me for a day or two. Anyway, some thunderstorms before morning, and after that, some unseasonably cold weather. I hope we miss our freeze, but hey, it's going to be kind of close again. More about the weather coming up.
Live captioning of News 8 is funded in part by Roger Pierce Roughness, a Dallas-based investment banking and securities firm celebrating 60 years of service to the Southwest.
He's called the biggest mass murderer in U.S. history, and you've probably never heard of him.
I call him a death merchant. I mean, he really deals in death, and that's what he's all about. There's a real cloud of death that hangs over this individual.
His weapon, a home chemistry lab.
He's as much a murderer as people who pull out a gun and shoot another person.
Crime Crisis, Forrest Sawyer, Day 1.
That's tonight, here on Channel 8, followed by the News 8 update.
If you'd like the big, bold taste of the Outback in a more hospitable atmosphere. Get to Outback Steakhouse.
One word says it all. Wednesday, April 13th at noon at the Fairmont Hotel in Dallas, the Channel 8 Corporate Exchange Club Luncheon presents Mike Ditka, sharing his no-nonsense approach to success. Join News 8's Dale Hansen, along with one of pro football's most charismatic men, Mike Ditka. Get your tickets now by calling this number. Mike Ditka at the next Channel 8 Corporate Exchange Club Luncheon. Sponsored by Robinson Carmody Attorneys at Law, Don James Clothiers, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metro Mazda dealers, and Channel 8, the spirit of Texas.
I got mad at myself for not understanding it.
When we worked at night with her, we would find a very frustrated little girl.
On my test, I would usually get a 70.
We were shooting blind. We're not teachers.
I needed extra help.
That's when we brought her to Sylvan.
Her confidence level has changed tremendously.
Now I get hundreds.
She comes home and feels, I can give it a shot, I can give it a try, and I will.
For better grades tomorrow, call your nearby Sylvan Learning Center today at 1-800-EDUCATE. 1-800-EDUCATE. Oh, I love Sylvan.
We're at that time of year when weather events tend to start happening pretty fast, and that's what's happening now. The thunderstorm Saturday night, the pretty day yesterday, the clouds increasing today, more thunderstorms tonight, But some colder weather toward the middle of the week, as we shall see. Now, here's what's going on. The satellite pictures from last night give us one indication of strong upper winds are coming up from the southwest. There's a wave of low pressure. We're just beginning to see the cloud mass from that coming across the Gulf of California, moving across Baja. Now, when that instability arrives in the morning, it's going to be just in time to catch a bunch of surface moisture ahead of a dry line and ahead of a front that may indeed spawn some severe thunderstorms in our area. That would likely be early tomorrow morning. The potential at this point. Thunderstorms are beginning at least after midnight, maybe later than that. And then in the area over central Texas, as we shall see in a moment, we do have the possibility of some pretty big thunderstorms in the morning. Temperatures at 6 now. We're 74, it's 73 at San Antonio, 85 in drier air at Midland, Odessa this afternoon. This dry line will likely come through about the middle of the day tomorrow. That'll shift our winds to west and take the thunderstorm activity off toward the east. And then tomorrow evening, this colder air gets to us, and when it does, it'll stay at least a couple of days. 74 at DFW, 57% humidity. Barometer is falling. Winds gusty, south 17, gust to 25. That will continue to be gusty overnight and pump more moisture into the area. No precipitation today. Today's high was 78. The low was 48. The low is a little below normal. The high is a little bit above normal, but ballpark anyway. Air quality readings for today, moderate in Dallas, good in Fort Worth. Probably less ozone tomorrow as we'll have even more wind. The pollen is 469 grains per cubic meter of air today. Fungus 197, oak 170, mulberry 45, cottonwood 26, and hackberry 13, ash 8, grass 8, mountain cedar 2. Thanks to Dr. Jeffrey Edelglass, as always, for that. Around the country now. Well, look here. This frontal pattern moving in from the north is followed by a bunch of snow symbols this afternoon. Some of that snow has been significant in Wyoming today. It's up to 8 inches of snow in the mountains, snowing out across Nebraska, up into Iowa and Wisconsin. We'll not, of course, likely see any snow, but that cold air will arrive about tomorrow night. Temperatures at 6 o'clock, 63 in Omaha, Nebraska, but the cold air is just arriving there, 37 at Bismarck. Tomorrow, here's what we look for. Tomorrow, our winds will be southerly 15 to 25, shifting to west by noon and northerly tomorrow night. There will likely be some snow in Kansas tomorrow, across Missouri as well. The thunderstorms for us in the morning, moving over into East Texas by afternoon. Day after tomorrow, well, here we have colder air still coming down over us, so it'll be in the 50s on Wednesday, and Wednesday night, mid-30s. Thunderstorms tonight, but late night, early morning, after midnight, low 65. Could be some severe storms in the morning. Morning storms tomorrow, cloudy tomorrow afternoon, but the rain ends 70, 40 tomorrow night. We clear out. Wednesday, partly sunny, chilly, high 55, low 35. There could be some frost on Wednesday night. We'll keep you posted on that since we've been talking so much about your tender vegetation. Thursday, sunny, high 65, low 50. Friday, partly sunny, 73. Saturday, possible thunderstorms, but warm, high 76. Storms tonight and tomorrow morning, and maybe again Saturday.
Don't put the fireplace away just yet.
That's right. You may need it.
Okay. Thank you, Troy.
Coming up, the Texas Rangers start the season on the road, and fans hope today's score is not an indication that it'll be a bumpy road home.
And we'll get the latest from Valley Ranch as Coach Barry Switzer gets acquainted with the Dallas Cowboys. Stay with us. Dale is next.
Introducing the new 1995 Lexus Coupe. After all, you only go around once.
Get call return and get back the call you just missed. To order or for a free brochure, call 1-800-234-BELL. Southwestern Bell Telephone, the one to call.
Rivalry and romance with Julia Roberts and Nick Nolte in their new film, I Love Trouble. On the next Entertainment Tonight, you'll get the scoop on everything from the steamy love scenes
There's some good ones.
to the sexy nude scenes.
Everybody but Julia is nude in the film.
We've got your exclusive first look. Then, from John Boy to Bad Boy, Richard Thomas tells what it's like to play a madman and why he may never do a serious role again on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Tonight at 10:35 here on Channel 8.
all over this country, the day starts with Champion. Champion batteries last up to twice as long as conventional, comparably priced batteries. Knowing that, why would you get anything else? Champion means confidence. All the cranking amps you need, summer or winter. Call 1-800-CHAMP-50 for the dealer nearest you. Champion. Quality from the start.
Sports is sponsored by Champion Automotive Batteries.
Well, Dale's ready to talk baseball.
Yes, but he'll do it from a golf course today. Is that right, Dale?
Well, it is, Gloria, because Bobby Bragan is having his annual golf tournament here at Bear Creek, benefiting his youth foundation. They've got 16 scholarships for 8th graders. If they keep their grades straight and they earn it, they'll get it in 4 years because of this golf tournament. And I think it's only appropriate that I start my golf season at Bear Creek the same day the Rangers start their season in New York playing the Yankees. Kevin Brown starts for the Rangers today. Kevin Brown has been very good against the Yankees over the years, but not today. It was 1-0 Yankees in the third. They have the bases loaded. Then Paul O'Neill doubles to drive in 2. That made it 3-0. Will Clark drove in a run in the 4th inning to make it 3-1 Yankees. Then in the 5th inning, the Yankees still leading by 2. Kevin Brown still on the mound. Danny Tardible hits a home run to make it 4-1. And in that same inning, after another out, Mike Stanley follows it with another home run. Kevin Brown goes 5 innings, gives up 10 hits, 5 runs all earned, and the Rangers start by losing to the Yankees in New York 5-3. We'll run down all the scores for you tonight, and then, of course, this is also the day that Cowboys' new football coach, Barry Switzer, met the players. A couple of them weren't there, but Switzer is such an enthusiastic guy. He says that's fine. He understands that. Cowboys' wide receiver Michael Irvin was, again, acting just a little bit goofy about all this, although Switzer defends that. Then you have a guy like Cowboys tight end Jay Novacek, who says he's simply thrilled to be playing football finally for a guy like Barry Switzer. Take care.
Actually, I met Coach Switzer back when I was in high school. I wanted to play for him at Oklahoma. I was in Nebraska, of course, but I was a wishbone quarterback, and my whole goal in high school was to play for Coach Switzer in Oklahoma, so it'll be exciting.
You know, I'm a guy that is on the backside here watching what happened, and I've been given an opportunity, and I want to do the best I can with the opportunity, but I need for them to understand that I had nothing to do with what transpired here.
The only thing that he has to do right now is basically learn the system. He's the one that's basically going through the major transaction. The only thing, the transaction we're going through is, is getting used to a new head coach opposed to Jimmy Johnson.
You know, and again, maybe the best news to come out of that meeting today is the Cowboys fullback Daryl Johnston says it's time to talk about something else. Johnston says he expects to have a new contract by the end of the week. And the way he was talking, he expects that contract to be with the Dallas Cowboys, and Cowboys fans would certainly hope so. The Dallas Stars are back in town after a 6-game road trip. They won 2, they lost 2, and they tied 2, and now they're tied for second with Toronto, and Toronto plays the Stars in Dallas tomorrow night. Here's Brian Jensen.
Their timing seems perfect. The Stars stepping back onto the ice in Dallas after a week away from home. A week that included the turmoil across the creek at Valley Ranch. And now that the neighborhood has settled down, the Stars are ready to take over that spotlight.
Well, it was a shock to all of us when we heard it on the news and everything when we were gone, but yeah, I think so. It kind of, we kind of been in our own little world over here too. We've got our own worries and a lot of responsibilities we have as a team.
You know, we've created some of our own excitement here, and you know, it's an important time of the year for us, and I think right now we're playing pretty well, and I think, you know, what we want to do is we want to just keep on playing well heading into the playoffs, and I think we want to be able to peak at the right time.
The inaugural season in Dallas is just 5 games from its scheduled end, 3 at Reunion, all against division rivals. The stage is set for a Stars playoff preview show.
They're 5 very important games. We still got a chance for first place, and tomorrow's game against Toronto is definitely a big game. Anytime you have a chance to move up in the standings, you want to try and grab it. A little more attention brings to us, and at the right time of the year, too, playoffs, and we're playing good hockey right now, so it should attract a little bit more of a fan following.
Now that the spotlight has moved to the other half of Valley Ranch, the Stars hope to keep it shining bright for several weeks to come. Brian Jensen, Channel 8 Sports, Valley Ranch.
You know, and the bad thing about Bobby Bragan's golf tournament, my team cheated 3 times, and we still got beat by 7 shots. At least we didn't finish last. Tracy? Corey?
Okay. Thank you, Dale. Coming up tonight on the update, what officials in Tarrant County are doing to prepare for a possible jail riot.
Violence has erupted in 6 county jails around the state in the last year, all because of inmate concerns about overcrowding. The Tarrant County Special Response Team showed today it doesn't intend to be caught unprepared should such violence happen here.
And we'll have that report and a good deal more tonight at 10 o'clock. We hope you'll join us then.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Dr. Linda Nason. Join us for Smile Check on Saturday, April 9th. Come to one of 2 locations for a free dental screening. Call for details in the spirit of Texas.
On the next Primetime Texas.
This man is the David Koresh of the Democratic Party.
He can promise anything because he stands for nothing.
There's no love lost between these two. Texas senatorial candidates Jim Maddox and Richard Fisher square off in the debate you've been waiting for. Unstructured, unrehearsed, and uncensored. Anything can happen.
He wants to buy his way and start at the top.
Jim has trouble with the truth.
It's the candidates like you've never seen them before, and you'll only see them on Primetime Texas, tomorrow night at 9 here on Channel 8.
When you need an auto part, you don't need to search high and low.
I'd never been to an auto parts store before.
A friend said she'd save money doing it herself.
I never would have thought I'd change a headlight.
I told her it was a lot easier than it looked.
The high-low guy told me how, step by step.
Knew she could do it.
Knew I could do it.
She could get a headlight anywhere. What she needed was high-low.
On top of severe weather with Troy Dungan, only on News 8.